Welcome to the Luxe Leap. My name is Reland Logan, and we chat with women-led businesses making bold moves, big wins, and the secrets to extraordinary branding. So I have a question. What if your next teammate wasn't human, but smarter, faster, and built to scale? Monique Bruce is redefining what's possible in AI. She's the founder, CEO, and CTO of Zari, where she doesn't just build bots, she engineers anonymous teammates that think, move, and scale. From e-commerce to aerospace, healthcare to robotics, Monique's systems power industries where performance under pressure is non-negotiable. She's built AI co-pilots for robotic interfaces, diagnostic engines for propulsion tech, and HIPAA-compliant workflows that cut onboarding time in half. Her bots reduce compliance errors by 90% and deliver real-time insights in the most mission-critical environments. A self-taught engineer and Afro-Latina founder, Monique brings sharp production, intuition, and serious technical firepower. Think LangChain, VectorDBs, GPT-4, APIs, and beyond. Her principle, build once, scale everywhere. When she's not leading Zari, she's advising startups with Loyal VC and shaping the future of healthcare equity as a board member at Howard University Hospital. If you're building bots that chat, diagnose, move, or fly, this is the woman laying the groundwork. Please welcome the architect behind the next generation of AI systems, Monique Bruce. Hi, Monique.
That was such an amazing introduction. Thank you so much, Raylan, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and, speak with your audience more about technology.
Oh, we're going to have a blast, and you're always so welcome. Introducing people is my favorite part of this whole podcast. I mean, at that point, we can just wrap it up. No, I'm just kidding. But why don't we lean in and just kind of take it back to the past to give everybody some scope and context. But what was a pivotal moment in your brand's journey that really defined where you are today?
Yeah, I think I want to take it further back.
Go for it.
This was actually during the pandemic. So I actually had a client who wanted to start a women's own gym. And during that time, I was like, oh my God, during the pandemic, ma'am.
Where we can't even be around each other.
Exactly. But I was like, I have nothing better to do, so why not? I ended up succeeding. So I ended up just renaming her as a personal trainer and, completely transforming her basement into a gym. Because when you do it on your personal property, you have way more security and you have more access to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that with my own property. So we ended up doing group classes in her basement. And then I was able to get a lot of the other gyms that were closing down that were either selling or just giving away their equipment for free. It took me like 6 months to really scale her out to about 100 clients to
Amazing.
Open up her official gym. But from there, she needed an application. So mind you, I just want to say this is before no code, ladies and gentlemen. So no code did not exist during this time. So I ended up just building a very simple interface for her clients to basically look at her schedule and onboard themselves and be able to log into a class and pay for their subscription. Super easy. If anybody's in software engineering, that is the most basic you can have, like profile, schedule, payment. That's it. Done. That was like the first application that I made. I was really inspired by her, doing this whole fitness thing and wellness for the people, despite during the pandemic, and it being successful. So I was like, why not start a nonprofit for preventative healthcare? I was feeling ambitious. Let me just say that. I was not prepared for what came next, because during that time I was like, we'll just get some funding and, we'll build another application. Nobody was willing to give me money. No software engineer wanted to work for the heart and soul of the community. So I, for a second time, had to build out an application from scratch. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, no code still didn't exist during this time. So I ended up just building the front end through Figma. So it was just like me
Mhm.
trying to figure out what really worked. And during that time, I ended up starting um, a program for art, just having people together, coming to Martin Luther King Library, and just using my own money to give out art supplies just so I can ask them questions about their healthcare. During that time, I was able to ask, hey, like, what colors do you like? What kind of features do you like? How much would you pay for that? All the questions that you would need to ask before you invest thousands and thousands of dollars of your time and energy and money into building an actual product. So I actually had over 1,500 people become one of our members for that one program, which was huge for me. I was super excited. I did not even think it was going to work. I was expecting maybe like 10, 20 people, not over 1,000.
Ah, that's incredible. I
Thank
mean,
you.
because all you do need is 10 to start, but like to have 1,500, that's massive.
Exactly. So I was super excited. So during that time, I actually just used my own resources, and I actually did find a couple engineers that, wanted to actually come in and join the product and help me actually build it out. So I already had a good foundation when it came to front end development and even
Mhm.
got my certification. And then I got into more of the back end development when I had more of a team to actually support me. So during that time, I had a team of, thankfully, 10 software engineers that I was leading by myself. And during that time, I had no skill sets when it came to leading a technical team. So it was just really just throwing me into the fire and me trying to figure out, okay, like, what do I need from my front end team? What do I need from my back end team? Can we add AI into this, and making sure that I'm not overworking people? Because at the end of the day, they were all still volunteering their time.
Mhm.
Um, that company ended up failing, and not failing because the product was good, not failing because we didn't have members. It failed because getting access and trying to maintain a product and build it out and then ask for funding was just nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't understand is when you have a nonprofit, your money has to go towards the program. No one's going to give you money for your salary.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing. So it's like I can't live off of hopes and dreams, and I can't write on my rent payment and everything else and all my
Yeah.
other bills for my hopes and dreams and for the people. It just doesn't work. But during that time, I actually had people reach out to me wanting me to build out an app or a website for them. And I was like, you know what? Why not just start a for profit? I can still help the same people but still be able to pay my bills. And that's
Yeah.
actually how I started my software development company, Zari, that the one that you see now. And we started
Yeah.
off just building websites for people and building applications. Howard University ended up reaching out to me, offering me an opportunity to sit on the board of advisors because they needed somebody in technology. And when they saw that I had over 1,500 people sign up for one program, they were very excited. So between that and running the software engineering company, it really gave me not only the trust within the community, but the trust with other startup founders who really wanted somebody to actually understand um, their community and have more of an empathetic approach to building out their products.
Uh,
And oh, go ahead.
no, go for it.
I could talk for days about this. I realized that building out applications and websites were fine, but AI was starting to become a really big thing. And people were just popping out all of these AI bots like they were nothing. But that becomes a really big concern to me because, as you can see now, people are losing their jobs left and right, and nobody seems to care. So I think it's better. And I always tell people, I'm not going to just build this product for you. You need to understand that it's not to replace your employees, it's to enhance them and
Yes.
make sure they're thinking more of a long term with your company and not just doing day to day tasks all day. It's not to get rid of them. Um, so that's my biggest thing when I advocate when it comes to making these AI bots. Now, personally, I did get certified. I was the one who was actually building out the bots, but I got bored. I'll be honest with you, I got really bored because it just became super easy to me to
Yeah.
build out these, marketing bots, finance, healthcare. When you do something like so many times, obviously it's becoming
It becomes
repetitive.
redundant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was like, well, what can I do that's challenging? And I was like, you know what? Let's build a robot. Let's build something for aerospace. Why not? Why not? Like, let's challenge myself, because at the end of the day, if I fail, I can at least say that I tried. But if I
Yeah.
succeed, which I did. Period.
Y'all can't see her, but the hair flip was everything.
um I can, sit in those rooms that a lot of women, let alone Black women, are not
Yeah.
in. And I know everyone watched the movie, what's that one movie about the woman who helped?
Hidden Figures?
Hidden
Or yeah.
Figures. That's what it felt like. And it's like, I think I want to encourage more women getting into STEM and taking on those challenges, because even if you fail, you could still say you tried, pivot.
You can pivot, you can learn. I mean, I think failing is the greatest thing you could ever do, in my opinion. But I know I talk about this often. I don't know if I've shared it with you, Monique, but I do talk about it often, is when I coach cheerleading for a really long time. But I had 3 rules. 3 rules. Rule number 1 was think, because you really do need to turn on your brain, everybody. When we're just going through the motions are in control, but your brain can turn on. So rule number 1 is think. Rule number 2 is no excuses, only solutions. Every single time we sit and tell ourselves that we can't do something, the reality is that we can. And that's where the law of polarity comes in, which is oh so nerdy of me. But the law of polarity states that for everything that exists, the opposite is true. And you can't have left without right. You can't have front without back. Great example of this is take a piece of paper. If I tell you to just throw away just the front side of this paper, could you do it without throwing away the back? No. Then the last rule is choose to win. Winning is a choice, and that means you're going to have to fail a heck of a lot more times than you do win. And it's the ability to get up and try again or find another way is what separates winners from losers. And winners are just the person who lost more times than anybody else without giving up. So I'm a
And
firm
then,
believer in that.
and I want to touch on something that I hear so often, where I hear certain people talk about, oh, I got this because I worked hard and, I put grit into it. But I'm like, okay, let's be honest. Be very honest with me. Didn't you come from privilege? Because didn't your parents already have a network? Didn't you already have a trust fund? You know, don't you live in comfort? Because there's a huge difference between working hard and having access. Because if you're going to say you worked hard, please, for the love of everything, talk about the privilege that you got. Because
Please.
some of us are out here with nothing. Absolutely not even our own family believes in us or will give us any type of access. And we are still fighting to be in the room, because there's a huge difference between that and actually having to, work hard.
It is an invisible load that you and I carry. It's an invisible load that many women carry, but when we go into the levels of what it looks like to be a Black woman, a Latina woman, like those invisible loads, we don't have access. I promise you, my family could not tell you what I do for the life of them at all. My favorite thing that I get told that I do is, oh, she does marketing. I don't. I don't. Or she does social media. Absolutely not. All things that I actually avoid quite regularly. Because over time, especially when you're in brand for a long time, you understand the difference between the two, and they get convoluted on a regular basis. But brand strategy is not the same as the tactics to be a strong marketer or the tactics that it takes to be a strong social media specialist. Brand will guide those things. Brand will share how to do that, where the best place might be. But if you were to ask me how to get 100,000 followers tomorrow, I would look at you for a beat and say, what's your message? And that will always reign true for the root, at the root. But then tactics and systems come into play. That is where your role comes into play, honestly, even before we get to the tactics of the execution of social media. And so there's steps along the way that everybody needs. But to your point, that conversation can't be had, or we can't get to that if we don't have access to the same things. So for us to even have the conversations to say, this is what we do, this is how we do it, our families aren't going to understand per se, because we come from generations of folks who actually had to work hard.
Yeah.
Not
And
to say
that's
that
not to
there's
say,
going to further down the line.
we don't work hard, because we do. It's different. So I think our family and a lot of, people in the Black community can relate. They'll always say, oh, why don't you, go get a practical job or something safe? And in reality, it's like what we're doing is safe. It's just not in the same way that you got it. Like I'll never forget. And I will not call people out on this podcast.
You could.
This is not that type of podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'll never forget. Somebody told me, this was like when I first got into software engineering. Somebody close to me said, "Oh, I would never hire you because you don't have a formal education." That hurt me to the core, because despite having all of my accomplishments, I decided to go a different route a long time ago for the reasons of I didn't want to be in debt, because when you're in debt, that means you have to do something because you must do it in order to get yourself out of it. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to do it because of the love of it, because I enjoyed it. And that creates freedom. Now, when I got into software engineering, and mind you, I've been doing this for over 6 years now, consistently have certifications from IBM. I have somebody from my family tell me, oh, I don't think people would hire you because you don't have a formal education. And that hurts, because it takes a lot more grit to be able to learn on your own without being in a class that you are forced to be in, that someone is holding you accountable, that now you're in crippling debt. No, I did it in a different way, in a different dynamic. But I promise you, between me and somebody who has a master's degree that's equivalent to my experience, I have more experience than them, because I had to fail up versus somebody just. And I promise you, if you ask them what they learned on that test they just took, they can tell you nothing.
They can tell you nothing. Nothing. There's things I need people to have formal education on, like becoming a doctor, please. I don't want you to test that one out on others. But to your point, like, in what capacity is a fine art class that you have to take because you need humanities credit helping you understand how to code?
Exactly my point.
Like, knowing who Monet is, unless you're coding for an art museum, why is that relevant?
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, when I was younger, I was actually going to school for business. And that's why I stopped. I was like, what am I doing? What am I honestly doing?
Most ridiculous degree.
It was the most ridiculous degree. So I was like, I literally left. And I was already paying out of pocket, because I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing student loans. I'm not being stuck. And I ended up working for a car dealership, because I was like, this is going to teach me way more than any MBA can ever give me. And ladies and gentlemen, I was obviously the top seller, period.
You're like, because you learn about human emotion. You learn about like how to ask questions, how to influence, how to
research. Because the biggest thing you have to do is research. Like, research. How are you getting your clients? Where are you getting them? How are you convincing?
Where are they spending time? Like these are just core things, and it just cracks me up that people like go after a business degree, and I'm like, could you explain to me why? The fastest way to learn how to run a business is to run
Run a
one.
business. Just do it. Because failing is not failing. You'll learn.
Yeah.
And then you
Constantly.
learn to pivot. Because the biggest thing and it's crazy because working at Loyal VC, there's so many people that have their MBAs and PhDs, but you're asking me for help.
Yep.
And it's
You want my
hilarious.
brain.
And mind you, I'm humble. I'm not going to bring it up in the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. I will never sit there and say, "Oh, I'm better than you because I learned on my own." No, no, we don't do that around here. What I'm saying is, just because you have a degree does not make you better than the next person who decided to go a different route than you.
Because we all still learn to get into the same room. We all learn to get into the same room. If you're sitting in that room, you earn the spot in that room.
Exactly. Well, not everybody. Some people paid their way to get in or inherited that seat.
And inherited it, but let's be real here. Their opinions generally get kind of, in today's society, are starting to get shoved to the corner of the room and saying, please sit there while the big kids operate. And it should be that way.
I agree.
Sorry, not sorry.
No, I agree. Because my thing is like, how can you lead is when you've never experienced adversity?
Yeah.
When you've never experienced when you're on the verge of bankruptcy, when you have to pay bills. So when you have to succeed no matter what, how can you lead when you've never experienced that? How can you lead when you've never experienced people from different backgrounds of you and have to convince them to follow you? How can you trust everyone? How can they trust you?
Can't.
Because I promise you, your MBA will say nothing about that.
MBAs can't teach that in a book. You can't. And I'm an avid reader. You are probably going to learn more about adversity in a children's book than you will a college textbook.
Facts. You
So,
know? Because like even with coding, it was crazy to me that people are still getting their, bachelor's and MBA in this. And I'm like, just open up like Figma and open up like your terminal and just try different codes. Like look up YouTube, Google, IBM gives out like these certifications that cost maybe like between $200, $500 to take, which is nothing
compared to $40K a year.
And you know what? You'll learn a lot more. Volunteer. I swear to God, all my volunteer opportunities that I took to learn coding with other software engineers was way better than, trying to sit in a classroom and follow along. Because guess what? You're going to be sitting around other people who are trying to figure it out just as much as you. And they're going to answer questions that you might have. You're going to answer their questions that you might have. And guess what? That builds your portfolio. Because when you get out of school, let's say you have your bachelor's degree and whatever, they're going to ask you, well, do you have a project? And your answer is going to be no. But mind you, if you go a different route, which I chose a long time ago because I saw this pattern, come up where people had like these degrees, but nobody wanted to hire them for the project. I had all the projects. I had all the references already.
And all the proof. It comes down to proof. It's like having testimonials on your website for your brand. It comes down to prove it.
Exactly.
Prove that you're good. I think about, I love building frameworks. Building frameworks makes my heart content. Don't know why, but they do. I love math. For creative, I'm a weird one. I love numbers. And one of the things that, I grappled with before I created my Luxe Invite framework was sitting on discovery calls. I personally hate them. And actually, find me a few people who love them, and I will probably get down to you hate it. You just like the result that comes at the end if it's a win. So I just don't like them. And what I realized was it's because I can't answer questions without having answers to other questions. And 15 minutes cannot solve that problem. And so I started to build what I refer to as brand meet brand breakthroughs, where I do video audits of people's websites to say, here's where the problem lies and here's how I can fix it. And that ability to prove it. Because at the end of the day, that's all a discovery call is for you to prove to them that you can do the job. Well, then let me just do something and I'll prove it. And that is, it is interesting, just this idea of formal education in the United States. I think formal education has a place in the fact that it teaches younger folks how to interact with people that don't look like them. I think that is one of the most beautiful things that comes out of college. And it gives them insight to thinking differently, because they might not pop that bubble without it. Do I think it needs a $40K price tag? No.
I would disagree,
That's fine.
because I've seen people go into college, but the college is surrounded by people that look like them. If you want that huge challenge, then let's say if you are a non-minority, go to an HBCU, really get that exposure. Because at Howard is one of the best schools in the nation.
It is.
And, you can't say, oh, I'm an ally. But if I look at your Instagram and all your socials and I see only one group of people that look just like you, are you really?
Well, no, they're not. But that's a completely different
That's
discussion.
different. But what I'm saying is,
what I'm trying to say is they won't even remove themselves from any type of bubble, because where they grew up, I promise you, had nothing.
yeah.
And then to move into a place where there's even a little of something is more than they ever had.
But did they take the effort to actually,
Girl, effort. I mean, me and you both know the answer to that is
no.
hell no.
Yeah. So and that's the problem. And because like you'd be surprised what you have in common with a lot of people that don't look like you. You'd be shocked. If
So
you
much
just
in common. If you could just get up and try.
drop your little ego, yeah.
And try. So, but I mean, the type of mindset that we are referring to right now are also not the type of people who are going to take the same actions that you did, because they've never been put in a place of adversity to think that there's another way outside of college. So it is like the only place to even open up a window to the idea that there's somebody different outside of having Taco Tuesday.
And that's what I want to talk about this, because I don't want people to feel stuck. And this is not just for the minority community, because there's plenty of people that are not from the minority community that feel stuck. Like they feel like going to college is the only way out. And it's not. You don't have to. And I'm not saying don't listen to your parents. That's not what I'm saying here. Your parents are sometimes right. But when it comes to being a little more creative, when it comes to your goals and your dreams, it does not have to be linear. Just step out of your box, try and write down the things that you want, and ask different people. If you ask people from different backgrounds and take yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone and just pick up, because I promise you they'll answer all of your questions. They're so excited. I'm even excited when people come to me about these questions, because we want you to succeed. We want you to have a different opportunity, because that means you won't turn into certain people that are in.
You're not going to succumb to groupthink. Let's just call it for what it is. You start to learn that you can individually think for yourself and make decisions without it being the exact same that your parents did and your grandparents did and your great grandparents did and everybody in your community does. You're brave enough to push back.
And I understand that's hard. I get it, because it's lonely. Even with my own family, when I started pushing back, I was left alone for a long time, and nobody wanted to support me. But I'm telling you, and I hope the right people hear me, it was worth it. It was so worth it, because I'm so happy with all of the choices that I made. I'm happy that I don't have debt. I'm happy that I'm doing what I love every single day. I'm happy that I have full freedom. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? All the people who disappeared when I was struggling came right on back. They always do. They always do. I promise you, they're exactly with their hands out.
Every time.
I believed in you from the beginning. And
did you?
What? You don't have to be petty. You don't have to, say, oh, I struggled and you don't have to do any of that. Just say, I appreciate you and thank you. When they go low, go high, baby. It's okay. It's
It's
okay. You know that you did your best, and that's all that matters.
that's all that matters. I mean, honestly, I'm actually kind of peaceful with it all, and I just go, cool. What do you want to talk about? That's generally how it goes over here. I'm just like, yeah, how can I help?
Exactly. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: it's not that they didn't believe in you; it's that they couldn't do it themselves. So why would they
I
think
didn't
you could do it?
understand.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even about them not loving you. Sometimes it's them trying, in their way, in their view, saying, I want to protect you because I don't want you to feel the failure that I felt when I tried this myself.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay because you still want to try. And you know what? Go ahead and try, baby, because life is short.
Life is so short. And honestly, it's a trigger within themselves. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. And I think that people don't recognize that very frequently is, if something like when you get mad about something because somebody said something you feel about yourself was triggered, that you felt about yourself. You're not necessarily mad at them. You're mad at a variety of things within yourself because that's what you can control, even if you subconsciously aren't aware of that fact. Great example of this. Got into it with my sister, as per usual. To be honest with you, that's par for the course with the two of us. And somebody pushed back on me. A coach pushed back on me and he goes, Ray, what was it about that situation of what she did that you see in yourself that you're always trying to suppress? And in the moment, it was, I have a tendency to be a control freak and I didn't like that she was doing that. But me being control freak has led to tons of frameworks. It has led to this podcast. It has led to a variety of things that are oh so incredible. And so owning that and being happy with that was really something that I had to see in the moment. And when you start to see that, you actually start to feel a lot more peace with other people's decisions. And not even from a Mel Robbins, like let them sort of way, just more, you can only control yourself. So like control it. And when people do that, when they see you trying to succeed and they try to put it down, to Monique's point, like it's because they can't see themselves doing it, and or they've always wanted to do something for themselves and they were always too scared to do it. And like, heaven forbid you do it and are successful at it. When they come back and they say, oh, I always knew you could do it, they probably actually did know that you could do it. They were just hurt that they couldn't. And that's the unfortunate reality.
And you know
But
what?
it allows you to be peaceful with it.
It allows you to be peaceful, but it also allows you an opportunity to be humble and give them grace.
Yeah.
Give them that love and grace to say, let's share this moment together. Let me show you how I did it. Because it's easier to continue being angry and continue being petty, but it'll show you so much growth within yourself when you give that grace and you forgive.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you have to keep them by your side the whole time. Nobody said that either.
Nope, we're not saying that.
We're
Toxicity.
not saying they'd get to come back at the same level they were at. Just
Exactly.
you have peace with it. Like, I'll give you a hug. If you're willing to put the work in, I'll work with you. But
if you're gonna be with that same toxic energy, you got to go.
there's please exit stage left. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. I built it not so you could tear it down. That part. There's always that. So, my friend, as we've come to our journey of the Luxe Leap, I've got two very important questions for you. You shared so many beautiful insights, but it wouldn't be the Luxe Leap if we didn't have these beautiful questions. What does a day living a luxurious life look like to you?
Ooh, I like this question.
Oh, I love this question.
Should we start from like when I wake up with my Egyptian sheets?
500 count? Go for it. Nothing less.
Yeah, I would say it's waking up in the morning and in my king-sized bed overlooking a beautiful city skyline on my way to a hot yoga session with other girly pops that decided to wake up at 6 in the morning for themselves,
Ooh,
for
that's lovely.
themselves, with their lemon water, ready to just give it their best. Not looking at one side, not looking at the other, just at themselves because for themselves. After, I'm going to the cafe, grabbing myself a cup of tea, enjoying it with one of my closest friends who's always rooting for me, supporting me, and I'm supporting them too. Then I go home, I take a nice long shower, I brush out my beautiful curly hair. I take about an hour and a half to get ready for myself,
Hot
period.
water stayed hot.
Period. I should feel like a lobster in that water, okay? Grab the butter, baby.
Oh, I love it.
um, I'm looking pretty, I'm looking cute. I'm going downstairs, to get my stuff ready. I'm leaving out the door to one of my favorite cafes to do some work, to sit and code on another new project that I enjoy. Because, yes, I'm successful, baby. I'm doing this because I love it, not because I have to. My friends hit me up. They said, "What are you doing tonight?" Period. I'm actually going to come pick you up. We're going to go out to dinner at a Michelin star restaurant. I go change my clothes into a beautiful handcrafted dress that was made personally for me by a designer that's a Black owned designer, because nothing less. We don't
Nothing
wear
less,
bougie,
only
we
the
don't wear
best.
Prada. I'm getting picked up in my black car on my way to go see my girly pops, to have dinner. I go home around 11 o'clock, back into my bed, reading a good book and turning my light off and sleeping with peace.
That was a beautiful day. A beautiful day. I love that you have a driver.
Of course, nothing
Sounds
less.
like nothing.
Uber Black or nothing.
Sounds amazing. And well, with that dream in mind, in one word, what is your primary motivation in business?
To uplift other women, not even just women of color, women.
Just women. Full stop.
Full stop. Just uplift other women, because once we stop looking at each other with, differences and adversity, we start winning.
Oh, the world would change. The world would change if the women had power. It just no, if women stepped into their power. We have plenty of power, y'all. We birthed the population.
Yeah, and then
Full
stop
stop.
looking at each other like competition. You're not each other's competition. That's
No.
society making you feel that way, so that way they don't show you who's really controlling you. When you start looking at another woman as your teammate, no matter what, your life will get so much easier.
Oh, so much easier. And my favorite people in the world are women. Literally every woman who's on this podcast brings me joy. And we win together.
And we win together.
So
Cheer each other on. I've had so many people get insecure because of, either they're more successful than you, they're pretty in some type of way, but I'm like, let that go, because that's your internal ego talking to you. Why don't you talk about it to them? Don't tell other people, go to them and say, and if you're really humble and you're honest and you have that humility, say, "Hey, I feel insecure, that I'm not as good as you, or I'm not as pretty as you." I promise you, it'll give them the humility to be a little more, it'll build a closer bond with each
yeah.
other. I swear it works every time. Have the humility, have that hard conversation, because you'd be surprised.
Oh, every time you'd be surprised because they have feelings too. They're not Barbies.
Exactly. Barbie has feelings.
I mean, we learned that a few summers ago. Barbie has feelings too. So this was incredible, Monique. How can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on my LinkedIn page, Monique Bruce. It'll have my beautiful face on it. Or you can add me on my two social medias. One is Vive tu vida Mo. So in Spanish, it's Live Your Life Mo.
Love
And the
it.
other one is Well Read Brown Queen.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. That one sounds fun because I love to read. So I absolutely loved having you on. Thank you so much. For everybody who made it to the end, we appreciate you with our whole hearts. All those details are also going to be in the show notes. But if you are looking to take the Luxe Leap, just do it. I can't really say that because Nike's down the street, but you know what I mean? Like, make it happen. And if you do, everything on the other side will be yours. Talk to you soon, everybody. Bye.
Bye.